We're at Hawkstone Brewery today in the Cotswolds, and I'm with Don, who's head brewer here. And a few months ago, Don brewed a beer with some of the Charles Faram British experimental hops. And we're back here today to have a look at what was brewed, what it tastes like, and how the whole process went. So Don, you were there that day and you were on the brew day. What did you brew?
So we brewed a new beer called Hare Raiser. So it's a 5.2% hoppy lager. So it's basically an IPL. So it's dry hop lager. So in the kettle we use Sovereign, the traditional hedgerow variety from Charles Faram. And in the whirlpool we've added Harlequin, dry hop with CF310 and 314. And then in the malt bill is also quite interesting because we've used about 15% of Chevalier malt and a little bit of Crystal T50. So give it a nice little sweet finish at the back. Really balances out with the hops.
Lovely. So let's have a look. Beautiful colour. Thanks, Don.
No worries.
Yeah, it's a lovely golden colour, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the colours come out really well. Like that crystal is quite light, so you get the sweetness from it, but you don't get so much of the ambery colours associated with like real ale.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so it looks like a lager.
Yeah,
lovely legs on it, lovely head formation. So a sniff.
I'm ahead of you there. I've gone straight in for the kill. It's beautiful. I tell you what, I know I should be talking about the hops, but the grain is gorgeous. It's got it's got the biscuity thing, but it's really rich and developed, and as you say, that crystal is just.
It's just a little touch.
Beautifully added. It's subtle. It hasn't taken over, is it? It's.
And it's sweet without being too cloying.
Yeah.
And it's got a lovely fresh smell of it. I did the CF310 and CF314. If the hop program is kicking out stuff like that, I think we've got a lot to look forward to.
That's brilliant. Yeah. That's brilliant.
Because when we opened the bags and we sniffed them, one of them smelled like Simcoe on steroids, and the other one smelled like Nectaron. I can't remember which way around because they're just codes at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're experimental varieties, but the smell that came out of those bags when we rubbed them in our hands, we knew they needed to go into the dry hop.
Yeah. I think I've said prior to us doing this recording, I wish it was 15 degrees warmer. I think I would have stayed the night close by and just tucked in this afternoon. Hop-wise, there's a few bits and pieces going on. There is a little bit of tropical in there.
Yeah.
There's also some dark fruit I'm getting and a bit of spice in there as well. So it's just beautiful and it's really clean. A yeast strain you used for this?
So we used our house yeast, which is S189. So it's a Swiss lager yeast. So it's very clean yeast. Doesn't have much of an influence on the overall flavour. It kind of stays out of the way and lets the malt and the hops shine. Because generally our lagers, our 3.8 is quite hop forward. We have Nectaron, New Zealand hop in our 3.8, and Tango, new German hop. And our IPA as well is basically a lager. It's got Citra, Simcoe, Mosaic, Trident, and Cascade in there. So we do hop forward lagers. We do like the fact that our yeast doesn't get in the way of those hops, because compared to other lager breweries, we do put a few more hops in our beer. Yeah,
and this was again probably been a standard fermentation temperature profile, would it?
So we tend to start the fermentations at 15 degrees, and then stays pretty much 15 degrees all the way through to the last few days. We put it up to 17 degrees. With S189, you can do that because it's quite a robust yeast.
Right.
It doesn't give off too many esters at 15 degrees, whereas if you use something like W3470, you'd have to do it down at 12, and then it'd take a lot longer to get the lager to market because it'd take longer to ferment.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. So, considering that you knew you were going to dry hop this at some stage, at what point in the fermentation or the maturation process did you decide to do that?
The dry hopping was done at terminal. So
right. Okay.
After it had finished fermenting, we added the dry hops, and then we roused it for 3 days, and then dropped the temperature to 0.
Right.
Yeah. So we didn't feel like biotransformation is something that you want too much of in a lager, and it's not something that lager yeasts are massively good at anyway.
No.
So it's more of a New England thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's better to dry up them at terminal and then crash them and take the hops out and leave it lager for a bit.
Yeah. Understood. And so from my nerdy lager curiosity, how long did you keep it in tank for once you'd got to terminal?
So it was lagered for 4 weeks.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it fermented for it was about a week and a half fermenting, and then it was lagered for 4 weeks.
Right.
At 0 degrees, and then we filter 4 times.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we because our main thing is crystal clear, pin bright lager.
Yeah.
And I feel like the more haze you take out and the more crystal clear your lager is, the crisper it can be. Like, I think if this wasn't filtered, it wouldn't be as crisp as it is. I know some people think that it takes out flavor, but it does. Lagers do benefit from a good filtration process. So it goes through a DE filter, then a pleated depth filter, then a lenticular and a sterile filter.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So once it's in package, it doesn't have any. There's no yeast or there's nothing in there except good beer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
you can certainly tell that. And you keg on site here?
Yeah, we keg on site, but our bottling gets subcontracted.
Okay.
So we bottle at Branded Drinks in the Forest of Dean. So we fill a 250 hect tanker about once a month, and in the peak season during the summer when everyone's scoffing down the lagers and beer gardens, we're filling about 2 tankers a month from here alone. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
Says a lot about the beer. Well, thanks for brewing such a really smashable beer and showing our hops off in the best possible light and understanding how to use them and really executing it really well. So thanks, Tom.
Yeah. No worries. I don't think there's any more of those hops left. The 310 and 314.
No, possibly not. Possibly not.
But hopefully you grow more next year.
Hopefully there'll be a little bit more in the ground for next year. Yeah. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed for that. Cheers, Tom. Thanks for having us on site.
No worries. Cheers.